Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear me loud and clear? Get a confirmation in the chat. Everywhere, Jay. What's going on, Coach Hoop? Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, maybe even good morning, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to this is not at the buzzer. Welcome to Slow Markets. Welcome to Slow Markets. I am Coach Jay, filling in for Coach Dakota. This will be the last. Yeah, the intro is a little off. I got to figure that out. Got to get another file from Dakota. But this will be the last Coach J takeover for Slow Markets this week. Dakota will be back next week from his vacation. But it's been fun. It's been fun. I know it's been a marathon session. Dakota has done it before, right? Where he's done the Topstep TV takeovers and then does Slow Markets. I think it's kind of just a testament to how much we enjoy doing this. Now I could be working somewhere else, could be doing something else, and you know the markets are open. So let's take a look and see what we got going on. Looks like our audience is kind of light right now. I don't know if it's because the stream maybe wasn't listed, but it's cool. 180 of you are here, and I appreciate every single one of you being here. Let me get the Top Step risk disclosure ready to go first. We will be talking about the live markets, and I may be placing some trades. I'm going to stay away from a practice account today. So if I talk about any trades, it's trades that I'm actually going to put on in this XFA. Let's put some real risk behind our trade ideas. But that's not a suggestion for anyone to follow me into my trades. This is the first time I'm looking at the markets since we closed and did the review. It is important to kind of take some time away. So for the past 3 hours, I went and got dinner, did a little workout, took a nap. So these are the first time I'm looking at the markets. I am, like Dakota says, a trader first. So if opportunity presents itself, I will take a look. We will do a rapid fire similar to what Dakota does, looking at a couple of different markets. Let me check the calendar to see if there's anything that we might have to worry about. Not seeing too much on the calendar right now. Of course, the unplanned headlines have been taking precedent over the planned headlines. We do have some major news coming out later in the week. We got jobless claims tomorrow, NFP on Friday. So what does that mean for where we are in the markets right now? Going out to a daily chart on the S&P. I've been trading a lot more S&P lately. It's just a cleaner market. We had a really nice trade. Shout out to Jack. We talked about a trade in the opening call, buying the S&Ps when SPX hit the 200-day moving average. 200-day moving average is not something that we trade often. And when we got down there, Jack put on a two-lot, exact thesis that we thought of. I got a message, someone asking, can I look at some longer time frame trades? That's an example of one, right? And I'll take them if they present themselves, but those aren't trades. Honestly, I told Jack that's one that we might hold for a month, right, if we can get it, because that 200 moving average is a major level. If I see a trade that I could put on for slow markets tonight, we'll definitely discuss that. But what I'm looking at here on the daily in the S&Ps, Friday. That Friday, Monday. Last Monday's candle, this Monday's candle that opened up the week, was the highest volume we traded in the S&P since the August 2024 lows. We traded over 3 million contracts, and what I'm looking for is how the market now responds to that range. Right, we tested the low of it today down at 57.50. We have the 200 daily moving average at 58.65, and what I'm thinking is if we can start to settle above this 20 moving average at 58.65, and then again above the high of that highest volume candle, then whoever was a seller here is underwater at that point. What happens when you're a bad seller? You become a buyer. What happens when equity markets hit the 200 moving average? That's usually where institutional money is coming in to buy for longer term. So this could be an accumulation for a move higher. It could also be accumulation for a move lower. If we don't find buyers above that 58.65 and above the high of this candle 58.85, then there is a lot more room to the downside looking at this August. I'm missing something. I just see a lot of laughs going on in the chat right now. Uh, but let's see what happens here, right? Going out to a 30-minute, we saying pushing right now. We'll take a look at gold. Did take a trade in gold today, and I am bullish gold. We'll take a look. Well, on the 30-minute chart, in the S&P, we have the 200 moving average again at 58.78. We can see it's been a resistance on the way down so far. It's this white line that's on my chart here. And let's look at what we've done since the session opened here. We have, you guys know how I look at these things. I go with the first 30 minutes since Globex opened, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to attach a VWAP there. And right now it's kind of hanging out towards the low, right? Remember, we saw this on Monday night and it was a flat line. And we talked about those being range bound markets. And if you look at Monday's overnight session, right, which we had here, that VWAP never left the range, and we kind of just chopped around in that range until we decided to break out. Actually, this is Monday here. This is Monday here. Flatline VWAP, range-bound markets overnight until we get into the London and New York sessions where volume starts to come in and sells us out of it. So right now, there is some selling coming in. Your boy lost 1.8K today. Neil, if you lost 1.8K, it happens. Hopefully that's within your managed risk for your account. And a loss is a loss, right? It happens as part of the game. If it's measured, then it should be okay. One loss should not be the detriment to your account. I lost about $500 today. It's measured. It was within my measured risk for the account. Just keep it moving. We are talking about Thursday's price action now, right? All this price action, all these trades are going on Thursday's trade report. New day and an opportunity to make it back up for you. High volume, you're late. Better late than never. All right. So that's what I'm seeing in the S&P right now. If there was a trade, it would be to the downside just based on what this medium time frame is saying. Since we've opened the Globex session, VWAP is starting to leave that range to the low. It hasn't yet. So if I took this short, what this trade is based on is volume leaving the range and price leaving the range. This VWAP has not left the range, right? I could take this trade, but it's lower probability at this point because if that volume never leaves the range and trades back through it, which we've seen it happen a bunch of times, it's a lower probability trade. If this VWAP left the range, I feel a little bit more comfortable taking it. And there is potentially some room to the downside. Maybe we can start to look at a target at 58.11, 58.10 was a major level that we were, dealing with today. You could see all of this resistance. It became a support towards the end of the New York session today. But if we were to sell off, I'd be looking at that 58.10 area as a potential target to the downside. But right now, no trade. All right. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ real quick, since I know we have a ton of traders that trade it. Same story in the NASDAQ here, maybe even a little bit more range bound since the start of the New York session. Globex session. Here it is. VWAP still in that range. The trade would be fade the extremes, right? So buying it here, risking these lows, and just trading back into that range unless that VWAP says something else. On a higher time frame, on the daily in the NASDAQ, we are, a lot lower, right? We've closed more days under this 200 moving average in the NASDAQ than we have in the S&P. But again, high volume on Monday. We had an inside candle, and I also would not be surprised at some more range-bound markets with NFP being on Friday. We normally know that we have consolidated markets going into big news events, and the day prior to a news event has the potential to be a consolidated range, right? So if the average daily range on the NASDAQ is 420 points, today's range was more than the average. It was 503. I would not be surprised at a consolidated range day tomorrow, this Thursday, going into Friday NFP, which is a catalyst for expanded ranges. Right. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat. Andrew, thank you as always. Andrew is more important to these shows than you guys understand. With all the questions that you guys have and the amount we try to get to, we would not be able to do it without Andrew. So Andrew, thank you for that. He's sending me your questions. So if you have them, put them in the chat. Uh, Try to stump me with a question, maybe something that has not been asked before. Uh, but let's see what we got on the 30-minute chart again in the NASDAQ, kind of just chilling out here. Common Sense asked a question actually, and we'll answer this one because it's about this trade specifically. Let's get this out of here and go to what we have here. So if the VWAP doesn't leave the range, are you only looking for ranges and fades, or are you switching to a market that VWAP does leave the range? Great question, Common Sense. I'm a momentum breakout trader, so I'm gonna try to find a market that's trending, and leaving that range, right? If I have to, I will take a range trade, but for me, more often than not, if I see VWAP not leaving the range, it says stay out. A lot of times, what happens in my range trading is I find that my entries are right in the middle, where if this VWAP is at 610, the last place I want to enter a trade is at 610 because then that really makes it a 50-50. If we get extensions from that VWAP, right, down to these lows like we've seen so far, that gives me an opportunity to at least trade back to it. But if I trade right against VWAP right now, you know, it's a guess where the market is going to go. But really good question. We can definitely take a look at silver, and let's take a look at gold because seeing everyone saying gold is moving right now. Gold, I'm bullish gold. Let's go out to a daily really quick. We are above the 200 moving. Oh man, we're above the 20 moving average on the daily, right? We can see this market. Obviously, everyone knows gold has been in an uptrend for 2 years now, but we sold under the 20 moving average, which is this yellow one. This is a daily chart, and we're back above it now, and it looks like it just held it as a support on this Globex open. So 29.26 is the 20 moving average. Looking at this candle right here, which is February 14th, where we had some selling in gold. Right now we're trading at 50% of that. So go down to a 30-minute chart, 29.26. I'm just going to pull up this practice account to kind of measure risk really quick. 29.26. Let's see. We have Globex open. We have VWAP attached. The market tried to leave to the low. You see this range bound market, right, where I could have taken this short, but VWAP never actually left the range. Look what's happening. We're bouncing. If we get a pullback in gold to 29.30, I'm putting a bid in there. Let me just see something real quick, what this risk looks like. If I buy it here, all right, so if I risk 20, if I get in at 29.30, my risk can go below 20. My risk would be at 22, so I'd be risking 8 points. Just gonna put that trade in now because I want to be long gold. Gold has been trending up since 1970. Just buy it. All right, so I'm gonna put a bid in. Actually, let me see something real quick. Yep, there it goes. So this right here, I'm gonna mark out the 8 o'clock Eastern time candle because that is the Asia session open for gold, and we can see that's when that volume started to come in and kind of pick us up to the upside. So again, what I'm looking to do is buy it against this VWAP, right? It's at 29.28 right now. I'm looking to buy it as close as possible as I can to there. First target is going to be 29.40. Risk would be under 22. But let's see if we can continue this rally in gold. So looking for a pullback to 28. I'm going to keep gold up for now. Let's get to some of these questions because I think this is going to give me a trade in that I'm comfortable with the risk. So we want to put this on. How long did it take for you to become consistently profitable? So I answered this one the other day, about 6 years. About 6 years. And consistently profitable, there are years that are better than others, years that are worse than others, but consistently following a process took about 6 years. My first year, I made way more money than I expected to. And then the next 3 years, I lost it because I thought I knew better than what I did. And I kind of just had some beginner's luck. Then it took a little while to admit that I needed to have someone teach me how to do this. And then The past 7 years from there has been, me refining my process, executing on my process, and going from there. Um, where is Dakota? Dakota is on vacation. I think I'm just gonna say that every like minute and a half. Uh, do you think that fundamentally we're entering into a period of austerity and expect equities to continue to decline in the near future? Uh, I expect equities to decline in the near future. So a lot of what we've seen in the equity downside movement, if we think about it, before we started talking about tariffs, everything was moving to the upside, right? We were getting ready to talk about all time highs, and then the conversation was, hey, we're going to put tariffs on. We're basically starting a trade war, and that, in my opinion, has been, and it's not just my opinion, right, is the reason that we've seen the sell off, right? And we kind of seen the opposite today, right, where this move in the S&P and all of this volume here happened on, hey, we're going to delay tariffs. So the way I'm looking at it, and I'm not too much of a fundamental trader, I lean on my technicals every time I can. But if the negative news is what brought us down, and then we're going to delay it and potentially just cancel them, which if you keep delaying something, is it actually even real anymore? Or are you canceling it at that point? I almost think that the tariffs are being used as a negotiation tactic to get other things. Again, I'm not going to get too political here, and I'm not going to get put on my tinfoil hat. But if they keep getting delayed, I don't see a reason to continue to sell. Uh, that's a good question. A good question. Could we, from a technical perspective, could we continue to sell off in the equities? Yes, we are under this 200 moving average. We don't spend a lot of time under it, right? And here we are. Here's the last time we actually traded more than one day under the 200 moving average on the futures was October 2024, right? We spent about a week under it, and we can see we rallied. And going back, we got to go back to 2022 where we actually spent any kind of significant time under that 200 moving average. But a lot has to change here. Now, what we have right now looks like the beginning of this, right? Where we made highs, right? We traded above 5,000. And these are, of course, adjusted for this contract that we're on. The 20 moving average turned, traded below the 50, but this takes a lot of time to do this. And then we spent, a good portion of 2022 under it before we reclaimed that 200 moving average towards the end of the year. Um, what does it look like right now? The 20's getting ready to cross under the 50, and this is all from a technical perspective. But then you still need continued selling down here for the 20 to cross below the 50 to spend any significant time down here. So, um, you know, equities are meant to go up. Do see the ATR, the volatility starting to increase, but you know, it's hard to make a such a strong bearish case when if you zoom out like this, it's pretty much all to the upside, right? We can look at the COVID dip, we can look at a bunch of different things that were dramatic in the moment, and then when you zoom out, it's not so much. So uh, let's take a look back at gold really quick. Come on, it's gonna leave without me. Now we'll get a pullback. We'll get a pullback. So potential. Yeah, I'm looking at 2930s. How about copper? So I know copper had a big day the other day. Look at a 30-minute in copper. Copper's, you see this 200 moving average? The price action that we get once we cross above it significantly, right? This candle crossed above the 200 moving average, and we just off to the races and holding the 20 now as a support. Um, Copper on a 30-minute. Let's take a look at this. Still looks bullish, and then from here I'm going to go out to a daily. Same thing here. Looks very similar to gold. Let's go out to a daily bullish copper and maybe up to these highs. Now the thing is, where is the resistance on that higher time frame in copper? Right, we're about a percent away from a level that we've rejected. Call it twice, right? One time, two times, and then we sold through it the last time. So is copper running out of room potentially. We do have this strong daily candle, which was today's price action, Wednesday's price action, and a pretty strong daily candle here. But can we get continuation at a level that on a higher time frame has not found buyers? It's like a long-term cup and handle. But every time we get up here, look what happens. You know what? This reminds me of. It kind of reminds me of platinum. Look at platinum, right? It looks like it's going to break. We get these bullish daily candles, then we come back up to a level where on a higher time frame we reject every single time, right? So is that the same case? I said it the other day that I was bullish copper. I probably should have just put the trade on when I said it because we were in the 60s. Um, but I'm bullish copper. I'm sorry, bullish platinum. But I'm bullish up to this higher time frame range. And then at this point, I'm asking the market to do something that it hasn't done going back, almost a full year. So it is a longer time frame range trade. I know we don't talk a lot about swing trading and holding positions, but you know, that's might be a good one. Not financial advice. Everything we say is for educational purposes only. Take own trades at your own risk. Gold is just going to go. Sometimes you don't get a pullback. If we started this session a half hour earlier, we would be in gold long right now. I would be in gold long right now. That's okay. At this point, I can't chase it. I need a pullback to VWAP, 2930s. That's where we initially started talking about entries. We don't get a pullback, we don't get it. But gold looks very bullish. All right. What do we got here? Did you start to get profitable when you started to stick to your system and time frame? Morgan, start to get profitable and continue to trade well when I do what I know works. Today, I traded on Topstep TV pretty much all day. Before we got on the stream, I took some trades that didn't really fit a process. And again, a lot of times when people say consistently profitable, it's almost like it's a thought that it's a destination, right? Like, oh yes, I'm consistently profitable now, and I don't have anything to worry about. You have everything to worry about, because you still need to stick to your process and your rules every day, right? Especially if you're going to be a day trader, right? If you think of your favorite athletes, I think Kobe scored 81 in that game, and I think the next game he scored 30. If he scored 81 and then didn't score above 10 for the rest of his career, we wouldn't talk about him the same way, right? And it would be like, oh yeah, he had that. I mean, look at the difference between Linsanity and Kobe, right? Linsanity was a moment, and then it's like, okay, what do you do for us now? What can you do for us now, right? So in day trading, we are playing a performance game here, right? This is a performance sport, and it's about what you do every day to be consistent, and not a destination that you get to. Um, so even today, if I don't follow my process, I'm not going to be profitable, right? Even if at some point I could call myself consistently profitable, if I don't do it every day, it doesn't matter. The purple lines, Rupesh, the purple line is the 50 moving average. The yellow one here is the 20 moving average, and the white one is the 200. And then if I draw a line and it shows up red, that's anchored view up. Attempt number two. What are your thoughts on ICT SMC? Uh, like a sad face. Don't be sad. We'll answer your questions. I think there is validity to any trade strategy that gets you to make repeatable decisions. I have a bunch of traders that trade in my VIP group that trade ICT strategies. Um, and I see the validity in them, right? And it's not, no strategy is, oh, this is the way the market works. It's, hey, this is the way I can repeatedly make decisions and put risk behind those decisions. So they're valid, right? There's a lot of overlap. People ask me all the time, did I study ICT strategies to take my trades? Because I look at 50% retracements, which is called, I try to say this, consequent encroachment, right? Is that for the ICT traders? That's what it's called. So everyone, they see me look at 50%, they're like, oh, this guy's trading ICT. It's like, no, we all look at the same markets. Um, but whatever helps you consistently make decisions and manage your risk, that's the strategy that you should use. Thank you for your opinion. No problem. Uh, Sushi says, today I was up 669 on a combine. Nice. Trying something new where my personal daily loss limit is 400 and any realized profits I make, I remove from my personal daily loss. I ended up locked out at $10. Uh, Try something new where my personal daily loss limit is 400 and any realized profits I make, I remove. So you've removed 229 from your personal daily loss. Is that right? From what I'm reading here, Sushi, the math, I think you should have ended up the day 229. But I like the strategy. No, you moved your personal daily loss limit to $1. Okay. So the only thing about that is when do you cut yourself off, right? Because it's very easy to be like, hey, yeah, no, I just keep making $1 every day. But at some point, when do you say I've done enough trading for the session and I'm happy with these profits and I don't need to take another trade afterwards, right? I ended my day down $500 and I had 2 hours left in the session. I said, you know what, I'm going to cut it off because I'm in a good place here. How do you use the anchored VWAP? Well, the way you put it on your charts is on the left side here. 5 down in the drawing tools, you have anchored VWAP, and then you just click it and click from here. The way I'm reading it is I'm basically looking at this red line as the market's opinion, right? VWAP is by definition the volume weighted average price. So not just price, volume going with it, right? I believe that volume moves the market. So this red line is where the market is, right? Any price up here is where weaker hands, I'm looking at this, market participants are. Now, sometimes the market can get very extended from VWAP, which actually the trade I took this morning in gold was exactly that, where this red line was VWAP. We were at 29.40, and I said I wanted to buy gold today, and I shorted it, and the $1,900 I was down, I made 1,400 of it back shorting gold because we got extended from VWAP and weaker hands up here. What happens if so? Let's just do a quick poll of the chat. If you wanted to get long gold all day, and then you bought it at 29.39 because you missed your trade, you dealt with the frustration for 2 hours of not taking that trade, and then you said, you know what, finally I'm going to buy it, and you buy it right here, 29.39. What happens when the market does this? Who feels comfortable? I know I don't. Because now I'm thinking, oh man, I bought it at the high, or maybe I should add some more. Right. So up here, I'm comfortable selling because I know that the average price based on volume, and I'm going with the assumption that volume moves the market, right, is down here. So they're not too worried. If my average is down here and the market's up here, I'm chilling right now. I'm okay. If my average is up here and the market now is here, I don't feel so good. Right. So my short was, hey, these are the weaker hands traders up here. Let's trade back to where the bigger money, which is this red line, is, right? Because they're the opinion that can actually move price convincingly. Right. Anyone can move the market, right? Anyone can trade a one lot and move the market if there's only one lot on the books. But in order to convincingly move the market, and that's a lot of times we see VWAP hold the way it does, is it a coincidence that this VWAP is holding pretty much, and holding, right? Some people say, oh, it's not holding and traded below it. What's happening here, right? This red line is acting as a support and continuing to act as a support even into the next day's session, right? So that is how I'll use it. EBA showed us a very simple strategy he could teach new traders: buy 3-bar reversal above VWAP. Do you have a simple starting point? Did Dakota include VWAP in that strategy? That's surprising. Shout out to Dakota. But you want my simple strategy? Here you go. Find a high volume candle. Let's just pick one. Hey, let's pick a market, right? Let's pick a market. Somebody give me a market. Have I spoken to Dakota? I talked to him yesterday, actually. Somebody give me a market, something that we don't trade all the time. And we're just gonna go step by step, kind of through it right now. I think I missed this gold trade. Not the Nikkei, not the NASDAQ, something we don't trade, right? So we can prove that I have no prior knowledge of this market. Not gold, soybeans. There we go. Soybeans. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go to a 3-minute chart on soybeans, and I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to delete everything off these charts, and we're just going to pick a random day, and then we're going to zoom in and go bar by bar. All right. So here we go. What I'm looking for in soybeans is a high volume candle to start my trade idea. All right. So what do I know about soybeans? It doesn't trade much overnight. It trades a lot during the New York session. So I'm probably not looking for any overnight trades. Right. So what I'm going to do actually, let's just change these charts to regular trading hours, and then we'll do the same thing. Right. So we're only going to look at regular trading hours for soybeans. And what we're going to look for is a high volume candle to base our trades on. This is exactly how I think backtesting should work. So let's zoom in here. We can see what the volume average is, and then we can see what high volume kind of looks like. This is at the market open, so I'm conscious of that. So let's just go forward. And if markets start to move, ES is moving. Moving? Is it actually moving, or is it like still in that range? I'd rather teach this lesson right now than ES is not doing a whole lot. It's trading in that range, right? We talked about buying the low of the range. All right. All right. So let's keep going. Let's find a high volume candle. I don't see one yet, right? This is high volume. Everything else is kind of run of the mill right now. So there's nothing for me to do. Nothing for me to do. I'm just watching. I'm happy I could fast forward through this because I'd be very bored trying to figure this out. How do I figure out average volume? Very easy. This volume indicator that's on the bottom of my charts down here is showing me what the average is. You see the red line? That's average. Anything over it is above average. But in order for me to be like, hey, I want to trade this, it has to be significantly above average, and I'm not seeing it yet. Oh, there we go. What's that? Let's find this candle here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to map out this candle. But what I also notice is that this is the end of the day for soybeans. So I'm probably going to ignore this one. But I'm also going to attach VWAP to it because what is VWAP for me? VWAP is the market. So the market is going to tell me how it feels about this price range. Here we go. That was the end of the day. So now we're going into the next day, right? And we said it, right? That's the end of the day. We're going to get high volume. Now we get another high volume candle. I'm going to anchor there. Know the high and low. We're going to attach VWAP and see what happens. So far, VWAP is leaving to the downside, right? Leaving to the downside. Where I want to short right now is at the low of that range, but I didn't get a perfect price, right? Let's say I got 1040. This is where we're short. Why am I short here? We have the opening range established, and price and VWAP left the range. I'm short at 1040. Right now, my stop goes above, kind of showing you, but VWAP left the range, price left the range. I'm short below VWAP. My stop is going to be above 50% of this level. And now I'm going to hold this trade, and let's see. Let's get the, let's actually use the long short position thing. So we're short from right here. Here goes our risk. We're looking for a 2-to-1. There it is. We got our 2-to-1. That's it. That's all I'm looking for. What did I start with? Find a high volume candle. What do we do from there? We attach VWAP to that high volume candle. If VWAP leaves the range, it's telling us to short it. Now, this is a very simple example, right? I'm not even considering what's happening on a higher time frame. I'm just looking for a 2-to-1 trade based on VWAP leaving this high volume range. What happens? It's the trend for the rest of the day. So while we were looking for a 2-to-1, how much did we get? I got short here. My risk was above 50% of this candle. We got a 2-to-1 here. We got a 3-to-1 here, 4-to-1, 5-to-1. Now, this is asking a lot. You're asking yourself to hold the position the entire way. But that's it. It's as simple as that. This is what I look for every day. And it shows up in different ways, but it is as simple as that. And why do I like this strategy? Because you can't fake volume, right? You need to trade in order for the markets to move. It's the same strat on that gold short. Sizzled, same exact trade that would happen in gold, right? And I'll show you guys the example again. Here's another high volume candle, but again, this is, oh, that's not even the end of the day. That's not the end of the day. So we got another high volume candle here, right? We are not going to take a trade unless VWAP leaves this range. If it stays in the range, then the trade is range bound markets, but I don't trade range bound markets with this strategy. So let's see. Price looks like it wants to leave the range, but what is VWAP doing? Hanging out. Price looks like it wants to leave. VWAP looks like it wants to leave, but it hasn't gone yet. Are we in a long yet? No. Are we happy we're not in a long? Now, I might take this off of 50% if it holds, but I should not be in a long yet. No long yet, right? Where's VWAP? No long yet. Somebody's going to charge you $100 a month to learn this information. Bought it on the breakout. What happened? We get stopped out. No long yet. Flat VWAP means range bound market. Do I live in Brooklyn? I don't. Are we happy at this point that we did not take that long? Right? So you could try to preempt the trade if you want to, but what happens? Flat VWAP means range bound markets. That means extensions out of that range are your opportunities to fade it. Now, I can't have this trade. I could take this short here. What should my targets be here? And I'll get to the settings for VWAP in a second, guys. I'll get to the targets for VWAP in a second, or the settings for VWAP in a second. But if I short up here and I have a target that's all the way down here, realistically, right? If I short at 1034, and notice we're not even talking about prices at this point. We pulled up a random market that I barely trade. Where's Dakota at? Dakota's on vacation. Right? But if I short here, my target could be here if I wanted it to be, but what's the market saying? The market is saying that it's flat. So if I get short up here, conservative price target for me has to be at 50% of this range. Ultimate target could be at the other end of the range. And then if we get down there, we see continued selling, then I can start thinking about what happens here. But if I get greedy on this trade, what do we actually get? Now we start to see some volume coming in, turning the market a little bit. Right. So that's it. If we want to start simple with a strategy, 4-point strategy, find high volume, anchor VWAP to it, let the market tell you what it feels about that range, and go from there. I am from New York. Yep, I am from New York. Here we go. We're getting a little bit of a gold pullback here. How do you put that range in the chart? Guys, use any tool that's going to let you identify the high and the low of a candle. Right? It could be lines. You want to put circles at the end, highs and the lows. It doesn't matter. Right? I'm using the fib tool. And just actually, let's go back to extended because we're trading gold. I thought gold was giving me a pullback. I'm using the fib tool just to mark the high, low, and 50%. You could use, a rectangle. It doesn't matter, right? You could use just 2 horizontal lines if you wanted to. You just need to identify the high, low, and the 50%. I don't use volume profile, but you could. Where do you decide? How do you decide to place the anchor? The anchor goes on high volume, and that's going to be discretionary, right? For me, high volume has to be something that's at least 2 times the average. So here we got 102 is the average, 315 is the volume on this candle. I'll anchor there. I see some questions. Aren't these high volume as well? Yes. Right? We got high volume. What did volume say? We left the range to the upside. We could be in gold from here. Now, I have to think about where my trade fits in the overall trend. How much room is there? Shorter time frame is telling me to buy it. How much room is there before a higher time frame level of contention? If I buy right now, 2940 is a level I got to worry about. No one's a fool, Blue Boy. We asked about simple strategies. Dakota has simple 3-bar reversal strategy. I think I broke that down, to be honest. What I would say is start from there and teach me something that you've learned about this strategy. Because I'm not going to have all the answers for you, and the way I execute it is going to be different than what I could teach you, right? Yeah, I know. It's all good, Blue Boy. The way I execute it is going to be different than what I can teach you because some of it is on feel, right? Sometimes the lows of if VWAP doesn't leave the range yet, I'm buying off the lows of those high volume candles, but I can't teach you how to do that consistently until you learn the rules of the strategy first, right? So try it in a practice account and go from there. I think I'm going to clip this one up, and when I start selling my course for $5,000 a week, this is going to be the content that's in it. So get it while it's hot. Um, Shout out to Brian Shannon, shout out to Anna Cooling and Rich Lepis for teaching me how to read volume. 5 bands a week, Ronan. I'll give a I'll give a promo code for 0.5% off. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna drink some water. I've been talking all day. It's a solid strategy if you have no strategy and need a way to head. It's very clear and simple. Yeah, I mean, we talked about the gold short this morning. Gold short this morning. What was that based on? Where are we normally going to get high volume in most of these markets? Around the market open, around news, right? If someone can pull up the last NFP date, actually that should be easy. It should be the first Friday of September. Sorry, first we're in March. First Friday of February. But here's the same trade in gold. Here's the opening range. This is the short I took this morning. What did VWAP say? It left the range to the low. At this point, I didn't know that that was going to happen. And this is now my highest volume candle. So what do? I anchor here. The opening range already told me that volume was leaving to the downside. We got high volume. This is what I'm looking at as continuation volume. As long as the VWAP continues lower, I'm short off of the VWAP from the open. And there we go. That's it. Same trade we just talked about. Right. But it's not going to be perfect. Nothing works 100% of the time. I think it's really important to know your strategy well enough to know exactly what it looks like when it works and exactly what it looks like when it doesn't work. I took a very similar trade, this trade in gold that I took to recover the day. I took this same trade in the S&P, and the reason it didn't work in the S&P is because this VWAP never left the range. Right? We can see VWAP leaving the range here, volume left convincingly out of that range. That's a nice short. In the S&P, the trade that I tried to take was we were on with David Green. We saw this. Was it this one? Which one is it? One was it? It was this. It was this candle right here. This candle here. I got short at 50% of it. What did VWAP do? It never left. Did it give me any convincing price action to the downside? We got a quick spike, but what happens if volume never leaves the range? Pops right back into the range. Got any more questions? How do I train myself to hold on to my winners longer without fear of losing potential profits? Mo, you just have to do it. Start small, and don't think about start small so you don't have to think about the money, right? If you're trying to train yourself to do that, start with a micro and think, I want to hold this trade for 50 points in the NASDAQ, right? When we start to choke trades, we're thinking about the dollar amount. But if you just think about points, it might make it a little easier for you. And what you could also do, I think a good activity is put a trade on, have your stop and your target, and then see how long you can go without looking at the trade. Uh, I did that for a while, where I had a puppy at the time, and uh, I would take a trade and say, okay, I'm gonna just go take the dog outside and see how long I can go with the dog outside without looking at the trade. And originally, like when I first started, it was like 2 minutes. Right? I'd be like, "Oh, come on, you gotta go, hurry up and go potty, so I can go back and look at the trade." But then after a while, it was just like, "Okay, I can go 15, go a half an hour without worrying about it," because my stop is already defined. So what's the worst that could happen? My stop plus a little bit of slippage, I lose, but it's already defined. All right. Let me take one more look at gold to see if it's giving me an opportunity on a pullback. Buy it. I'm still looking for 30s. Let me just put the let me put a bid in just so I don't miss this. I'm okay taking this trade. And I'm gonna do all right. I got my bid in for gold. We'll see if we get tagged in there. We turn the sound alerts on too, so I know I got in. Bernie, you're short GC wanting 30s. I'll buy them from you. I will buy them from you. Oh, can we see anchored VWAP settings? Default settings for the most part. I think I said that I use open, high, low, close divided by 4, and then the last time I checked, it was 3. But yeah, the settings are red and open, high, low, close 4. But you could change this red to whatever color you desire. Make it orange, make it purple. Mine is red. And 4 for the level of thickness of the line was because of the importance of it. Only gems on this live. That's what the goal is. We got 777 people watching. Lucky 777. So thank you, everyone. If you can do me a favor, hit that like button if you like what you're hearing today, and if this is helping you with your process at all. ES short working. Yeah, ES holding below that range, right? Below that range we identified. Just very range bound, right? I don't here, let's go with that same. If that was my process, right? Here's the opening range. Here's a view up. Hasn't left the range yet. It looks like it wants to. It looks like it wants to, but it hasn't yet. So if I take this trade, I'm taking it knowing that it's lower probability, and that's okay. This is a range bound trade. When I see flat VWAP, it doesn't mean no trade. It just means no breakout trades. But if you can get a short above it, you got a nice 4 points here. Can I be on as a regular? I am on as a regular. At the buzzer. At the buzzer at 4:15 Eastern time, 3:15 Central. All right, let's see. We got any other markets moving? I want to take a trade, man. Bitcoin. Here's one. Let's see. We got high volume. Attach VWAP. What is it saying? It's hanging out above 50%. I do like being bullish Bitcoin. Let's see what we got here. Go down to a shorter time frame chart. Right? This VWAP still hasn't left the range yet. Right? So what this is telling me is if I wanted to take a trade, I could take a short here, but anytime I take a trade, I have to think where it fits in the higher time frame. If I take a short up here, it's counter trend, right? The trend so far for Bitcoin over the past couple of days has been to the upside. So if I take a short, it's a scalp. Is this price action? And what you have to ask yourself is this price action worth taking the trade, or is this the setup I'm looking for the ultimate trade that I want to take? Right? The setup has to be there. KB says this is when you shouldn't take a trade because you want to take a trade. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take anything that I don't trust. But that's a good point, KB. If you feel like you need to make a trade, probably a good reason not to. But I do want to buy gold. Why the 3-minute time frame? Just preference. It slows down. It's slower than the 1 minute. It's not as slow as a 5-minute. Somewhere in the middle. I think I've made the comparison to boxing a couple of times before, where I do a lot of volume analysis, and in a 3-minute time frame, I can tell who's winning a fight, whether it's buyers or sellers, right? By who's throwing the most punches and how effective those punches are, and it helps me in a 3-minute time frame. In future, so hey guys, don't make Andrew mad. He's the only one that can that has the ban power. He's not afraid to use it. Who's that? JLM Macaulay. I'm gonna clip that message. I'm actually taking a screenshot of that message. I'm gonna send it right to MP. Send it directly to MP. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, let's see what we got here. Any other questions? What volume profile are you using? I'm not using volume profile. I'm just using the volume indicator, which is volume by time, right? So this is showing me the volume for every 3 minutes. Now, you could use volume profile, and I know a bunch of traders do. We have Nick for a tick that uses it. Coach Vince uses it. Coach Ray uses it. And some people ask me, "He's like, hey, well, if you're a volume trader, why are you not using volume profile?" Honestly, part of it is I just don't like the way it looks on the charts. Going to be honest, like it gets kind of busy where it's kind of overlapping candles. I just want to see the clean candles. So this volume by time allows me to see the candles a little cleaner. How would I use your triple EMA properly during fast markets? I only ever use these moving averages on the 30-minute or daily charts. And if I'm above the white line, which is the 200, I'm looking to buy it. If I'm below it, I'm looking to sell it. And if the market is trading right at it, probably looking to lean into that position because it's such a strong level. Closed your short. What were you short, Patrick? Zoro's been asking basketball questions the entire time. Zoro, I'm trying to focus. All right. Anything? And if you wanted to see me trade live, I'll be on tomorrow. Let me check the schedule. I'll be on tomorrow for about 2 hours. The last 2 hours of the day, I'll be on tomorrow. And uh, yeah, I'm on with Mohammed and D, and then Dolby and Coach Hoop to end the day tomorrow, the last 2 hours. And then Friday, another marathon session. Friday, doing the opening call with Jack, then fast markets, uh, lunchbox trading, back to the futures. So a lot more Coach J on Topstep TV this week, which is always a lot of fun. You guys get to see exactly how I trade, and then we'll go into the weekend. Don't cry to Mo session. How do you put the volume down here? So in the indicators, right? You have indicators up here. Just type in volume, and it's here, right? Um, and guys, I don't mind answering questions, and don't take this the wrong way. Anybody who's asking a question, you guys can see how much I answer questions. Um, Try to explore your platforms, right? Try to explore your platforms. You might find something that you haven't seen before, or like, oh, that's pretty interesting. I could use that. Uh, I could use that. Just click around. Click around. Sometimes you find some stuff. I found some stuff that I use in Quant Tower that I don't see. I honestly don't see. I use an indicator in Quant Tower called Power Trades. There are 3 videos on YouTube at all about power trades. So if I was looking for a video specifically for that, there's 3 people I could go to. Right? 3 people I could go to, and they explain it really well, but it's not a commonly known thing, right? So I was clicking around my platform. I said, "Hey, what is this? This looks interesting." Clicked it, and I use it every single day in my trades now. And there's 3 people on YouTube that have videos about it, and I know because I watched all the videos. And then who was that? Max said, "Max, I'm gonna read your comment. It was an important one." He said, "Bro, stop ignoring my question. I know you see it." There you go, Max. Any other questions we got? Um, I saw you, Max. What is the guys, I've been on this stream all day. I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun tonight. And I'm not seeing too many great trades either, so we'll have fun. I'm cool with answering questions. Um, but let's see. Let's look at the Nikkei from X. Uh, Same thing, very similar to the other equities. Again, we had this high volume candle. So okay, this is actually a pretty good example, Max. Thank you for bringing this up. So we talked in the S&P about that high volume candle, which was the highest that we saw since August. We got a similar candle in the Nikkei, which is the highest volume candle that we've seen since September. What's happening right now? Market closed above that price. The traders that join us and at the buzzer all the time know that we call this the J trade, which is we have high volume exhaustion, right? So high volume at the low of a move, right? We've been selling off for 2 weeks in the Nikkei. We get really high volume, which this can't be all selling, right? There has to be some buyers in here, and we can see the rejection at the lows, and then we get a close above it. What's VWAP doing? It's starting to tick to the upside. This is a very bullish signal for the Nikkei. Very bullish signal for the Nikkei. Now, let's zoom in and see if we're getting good trade location for a trade right now. Buying it off of this VWAP or off of this 30-minute range right here seems like a good trade if we're going to continue higher, with my risk being back inside that high volume daily candle. So what I would want to do, in the Nikkei, and I'm doing this because I'm expecting the S&P to do something very similar soon. So just plotting out what that trade would look like, right? I would buy it. Ideally, I'm not buying it here, right? Ideally, I'm buying it against this VWAP, but let's just do this for the trade example. My risk is going to go within the high of that high volume candle to give it the potential opportunity to act as a support, right? So I want to get in long somewhere around 37,700. My risk is going to go within that high volume candle so it can act as a support, but we've closed above it. And now, you can set your profit targets. You can go 2 to 1. You can go find a level. 38,000 is going to be a major level as well for the market to try to trade through. But this is a bullish sign closing above that daily candle. And look what we also closed above, right? There's a lot of drawings and things going on in these charts, but the 200 moving average on the 30-minute chart. If these hold and the 20 and the 50 are crossing it, that is a very bullish signal and oftentimes leads to a pretty big move. We can see what happens when we cross the 200 moving average on the downside. That led to a downtrend for 2 weeks. So still need to see a lot of buyers coming in here, but this could be the start of the uptrend in the Nikkei. What's going on, Tom? Just tuning in. Thank you for joining us. Do you prefer Topstep X over Tradeovate? I never liked trading on Tradeovate. I never liked it. I love the position management in Topstep X, right? If I was in multiples, if I was in, 3 Nikkei contracts here, and I wanted to scale out, let's say I wanted to scale out one here, and I'm moving the stop on the rest of them to up here. What I really love about Topstep X is if I get tagged out on this one here, then I don't have to worry about managing this position down here. And now people are going to say, well, what happens if you get stopped out first and then you come back here and you sell it? Well, I want to check on my positions every once in a while. Yeah, I never really liked trading on Tradeovate though. When you put on a trade and it goes in profit, do you begin to drag your stop loss towards it? Carlos, yeah. So I have some rules for how I do that, and it really is going to depend on how far I think a move can go. How far I think a trade. Let me switch back over to my XFA just in case we get tagged into gold. But it's going to depend, right? So let's say I am risking 30 points in a NASDAQ trade, and we have a trade. I have a trade on, and I think that there's potential for the room to go 100 points. If we get to 45 points, I'm trailing my stop, right? So 1.5 what my risk is, then I'm trailing my stop to 1 to 1, right? So worst case, I'm going to pay for the next losing trade because I'm risking 30 points, and then I'm going to try to let the market go. Those are my ideal rules. Now, it doesn't work out like that all the time. It works out when trend trades are trend trades and not, consolidations and trying to break out and false breakouts and things like that. But when a move is trending, I try to pay for my risk, right? 1 to 1. Once we get to 1.5, right? I don't want to trail my stop as soon as we get to 1 to 1 because there's the potential for it to pull back. But if we get to 1.5 to 1, then I'm trailing that stop. MKT, I like using Quantower on AMP futures. That's exactly what I use. Quantower is a great platform. And, when we're on Topstep TV, I have 4 screens up. Topstep X is on one because that's my execution platform when I'm on the stream. The other 3 screens are Quantower. And there's 3 different markets, and I'm looking at the volume in those markets. All right. Anything else you guys got? Scanning around again, not too many markets moving. Uh, when looking at a daily chart and closing candles, are you including the body? I'm including wicks on every candle that I use. And why that is because the market traded to that price, right? The market traded to that price. So if I only include the bodies, I'm excluding the price. So in these wicks, what these wicks don't tell you is where the volume is. What if this candle had 5,000 contracts traded at this high and then everything else was like 2 contracts? And then also, if I use a different time frame, it's going to be different. So for me, I don't switch time frames. Like I don't go to a 1, a 3, and a 5 minute because they're all going to pretty much tell me similar information, right? Um, so I keep it on a 3 minute so I can identify the same exact patterns on a 3 minute, and that doesn't change. Your anchor VWAP is anchored to Globex, right? Yes. Yeah, Globex. So these are the defaults. It's always going to be Globex open, which is 6 p.m. Eastern time. It's always going to be the session open, which for the equities is 9:30 Eastern time. And then the others are going to be discretionary, right? So if we have a news event, I'm anchoring there. If we have a random high volume spike, we had one today in the equities, right? We talked about it earlier. This high volume spike, watch what happens here. You guys see this high volume, right? Anchor view out to high volume. What happens? Volume leaves the range. But maybe I missed this trade. Maybe I missed this because by the time price got up to 58.10s, VWAP didn't leave the range yet, and I want to be a good trader and follow my rules. So now how do I get into this? If that volume leaves the range convincingly, we'll get a retest of it. This is my entry now. Stop is going to be inside the box. And there we go. Right, so session opens and high volume. All right, let me get another drink. Give me 1 second. Memester says, I have just your strategy in MNQ. Made $300. Nice. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Just that strategy, it works. It works really well, just like any strategy does. It's about your execution of it. And at the same time, I'm looking for 0.5% on any profits that you make. So I'll send you my Venmo. Thank you. How do you decide if your process needs to change? If it's not working after a certain amount of time, if I'm trading, at this point, I don't need to make any changes, right? I just need to execute on what I know, um, and just continue to trade that, right? At this point, the way I'm explaining my strategy to you guys is what I should look for every day. Now, there are other factors that can maybe add to the percentage of a trade working out, but at this point, I don't need to change. Now, when can you decide whether or not your strategy needs to change? Have you done it for, have you traded the same strategy, no changes for at least 100 trades? Right? That's my question. Um, because if you change after 5 trades, you don't have enough data to say whether or not something works or not. Remember, I think all of our goal should be to know your strategy well enough to know exactly what it looks like when it doesn't work, right? If I take a trade and I've taken trades on the stream actually where we're actually coming back into this VWAP and I'm selling it. And then when I review it after, I'm like, why the hell are you selling it here? Right? This is a buy. So I know once I take this trade, I know for a fact that if I stay in it, it's going to lose because I'm fading what is the actual trade, right? But you don't get to know that unless you take the same trade 100 times. And if you want to take the same trade 1,000 times, we got charts, right? The same way we did that soybeans chart where I cut off what's happening on the right. I know what I want to try, and then I actually try it. And don't do this, right? Don't do, oh yeah, VWAP is still in the range, so I shorted it at the high, which was the right trade at that point, and then go, oh, actually, no, never mind. I didn't short it. I bought it here. And then, yeah, I won, right? I made 50 points. Don't do that, right? When you do that kind of fast back test, trade it the right way because you're going to know where your stop should be. You're going to know where your entry should be, and you'll learn a lot. All right. Is it possible to stack both buy and sell volume on each bar? Uh, I don't think so on TopstepX. I know other platforms have it. Uh, I don't think we can do that on TopstepX, not yet at least. I have an opinion on you. More confidence and less doubt. Are you saying that that should be how I trade Oakla Torch? Because if you're saying that, I agree with you. I don't disagree at all. Right, and that's fine. Right, you guys get to see me trade live, um, 3 times a week. Uh, and if there's one thing, um, that I have gotten better at and need to continue getting better at is that confidence on stream. And I think I've done it. Right, I think over the last, I'd call it last week, I've probably taken 15 trades on stream. And I think in the first 2 months of me trading on Top Step, I probably took less than 10. Um, and it was just, hey, I don't want to be wrong. At this point, I don't care, right? I don't care. I know my strategy is what it is. I know it works. So at this point, I think a lot of the hesitation came from wanting to be right on stream because of the comments and social media and all that other stuff. But it is what it is. It's going to work or it's not. And then if it doesn't work, I'll adjust. And shout out to the Top Step team for giving us the platform to do it, right? To trade live. Shout out to anyone who is on the internet that trades live, right? Regardless of who you're trading with, what company you're with, who you're affiliated with, um, whether you think someone else is a bad trader or whatever it is. I don't have too many opinions on people that are, influencers and trade live, whether they're trading sim account and don't actually tell people or whatever it is, right? If you're trying truly to teach people a system and how to trade, um, props to you. And if it's pressure for you to do that with live money on the line, I understand that, right? As long as you're not lying to people and being like, hey, yeah, you know, I made $20,000 and you did it in a sim account. That's different. Uh, what I lack is arrogance. Uh, NCM trader. I am from New York, so it's there somewhere, uh, but it doesn't come out all the time. All right. How do you differentiate from playing a reversion on a large candle to playing a continuation trade? Uh, Man, that's a whole lesson in itself. That's a whole lesson in itself. Uh, Reversion. Okay, so reversion. Simple answer here. Reversion is going to come from a decline in volume. Uh, if we are, and shout out to Anna Cooling. If you guys don't know who Anna Cooling is and you're interested in volume analysis, check out her YouTube page. She is not affiliated with Topstep, but I love her videos. Just put her name in the chat. Validation, right? Price increasing and volume increasing is going to validate that move. The minute volume starts to decrease and price either consolidates or decreases. Let's say price kept moving up here and volume kept declining. This is a higher potential for reversion because the volume is not supporting the price movement. All right, so hopefully I explained it that the right way. But if I didn't, check out Anna Cooling. She does a way better job than me. Uh, I am new to futures trading. I keep closing position after 4 to 8 points with a small profit. I didn't let it run. Am I doing it wrong? Ben, are you doing it wrong? It's hard for me to tell you that if I don't know your full strategy. If you are looking for more than 4 to 8 points and you're cutting, and I'm assuming you're trading the NASDAQ. If you're new to trading futures, I would suggest trading the ES. But if you're trading the NASDAQ and you're looking for more than 4 to 8 points and you are cutting your trades off, then you have to let them run, right? You have to let them work. You've measured something that is telling you that you should be able to get more than 4 to 8 points, right? You can't get to it. It's funny, like Dakota, sometimes he's on stream and he'll have a 5 lot trade on in the NASDAQ and he's up $1,400. And everyone's like, close it. You got to close it. You got to take profits. Just like he's had $15,000 trades on stream. Now, we all know how numbers work. You can't get to 15,000 if you cut every trade off at 1,400, right? So if you've measured something, let it work, right? If you measured something, let it work. Can you find a way to get that VWAP on TradingView? It's in the same place. It's in the drawing tools in TradingView. These are TradingView charts, right? So on the left side, you have projection, anchored VWAP. It's in the same place. Dakota is probably watching this, right? He's probably short another 5 lot from the beach, something like that. All right. Do you ever look for SMT divergence? I don't. I know what they are, just hearing traders talk about them, but I don't use them. But I see them work when traders talk about them. I'm sure the team is having a great time right now. All right. I don't have too much else, guys. We talked about markets being pretty range bound. Is anyone surprised that the Nasdaq has not done too much? It's traded in this range. It is a 30 point range if you want to scalp it. To me, that's a little too tight to look for any real opportunities. But since we've been talking, right, since here, what have we done? VWAP is flat. All we did was make an extension and trade back into the range. We rejected in the range. Another extension outside of it, back into it. Not a whole lot for me to do here. No movement yet. We didn't talk about crude. Crude has been a nice sell-off. Maybe coming up to another opportunity to sell crude here off this 50 moving average. This is saying buy, right? In the medium time frame, 30 ticks to the upside. But where does that fit in the overall picture for crude? It's counter trend. So if I had a 30 tick profit, I'm at least securing some of it because crude has been in a downtrend. I am not on tomorrow morning. I will be sleeping. I'll probably sleep in. I probably won't even trade the open, to be honest. I'll just trade when I get on Topstep TV. Zoro asks, what's a double double and a triple double? A double double is when you take 2 single patty burgers, right? And then you take the top bun off and you put both of the burgers, stack them on top of each other, and then you put the top bun back on, and then you throw one of the top buns out. That's a double double. And then a triple double, triple is keep that top bun in the middle. Um, all right. I think we're gonna go ahead and end the stream maybe a little bit early today. I think we're gonna end it early. I think I got through all the questions. Let me get through all the questions Andrew sent me. Quantower does not have a web platform. You need to download it. And some of the volume analysis stuff, there is a fee that comes with it. I paid for a lifetime fee because I'm gonna use it as long as I'm a trader. Uh, but I think that's it. I want to thank everybody for hanging out this week. again, I'll be on Top Step TV a lot more. So if you have questions, let me know. We'll be taking trades together. I'll explain my process as in depth as I can and continue to trade. Um, Making money does come first, but I want to appreciate you all joining. If you haven't done so, again, hit that like button already. We got 706 people here. I would love to see 705 likes because I always remember to like it tomorrow. Um, have a great night. Trade well, manage your risk, and we will talk to you all tomorrow. Andrew, thanks again.